The U.S. Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris, given her first TV interview since her nomination, she was speaking with CNN. Take a listen to some of those highlights.
My agenda includes what we need to do to bring down the price of groceries. For example, dealing with an issue like price gouging. What we need to do to extend the child tax credit to help young families be able to take care of their children in their most formative years. What we need to do to bring down the cost of housing. And I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020, that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking. There should be consequence. We have laws that have to be followed and enforced that address and deal with people who cross our border illegally. And I think it would be to the benefit of the American public to have a member of my cabinet who was a Republican. We have to get a deal done. This war must end. In the meantime, and we must get a deal that is about getting the hostages out. I've met with the families of the American hostages. Let's get the hostages out. Let's get the ceasefire done.
Let's bring in Derek Waldbank, our Bloomberg editor, joining us with this. And I'm guessing you watched this interview, Derek. It seems like she took a bit of time to talk about, her values haven't changed. The critics have talked about she needs to explain why she's kind of switched her policy stance when it comes to issues like immigration, fracking, for example. Do you think she did that sort of job here today?
Yeah, Ivana, I think one of the questions that had been lobbed at Harris is that she hadn't necessarily sat down for a big kind of media interview with a major media organization where her campaign wasn't necessarily the one setting the agenda, right? And so that happened today. Dana Bash is a longtime pro. I covered Congress with her back in the day when I had hair. It was a long while ago, but she's been there. She was there before I got there. She's been there really a long time, and she's really good, and she knows her stuff. And she put a lot of hard questions to both Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. They were handled pretty well, from what I could tell. She explained away some differences between when she ran for president the last time and now. Certainly she's had, nearly 4 years as vice president, among other differences between then and now. And so she's running her own race, right? She didn't draw a giant contrast with the Biden administration, with her current boss, Joe Biden. But there are some, some signs that there may be some shifts. I think one of the biggest things that I would note is that this campaign seems, and this interview was a good example of it, seems to not be relying so much on let's get a deal through Congress and what will Republicans say and things. Kamala Harris was talking a lot about executive actions she could take, about appointments that she could make. Her grocery plan is a great example of that. Part of that is to talk about M&A and to talk about, what regulatory oversight looks like. Congress doesn't need to do anything for a lot of that, right? And so this is a campaign that really is cognizant of what it can do and what it needs help from the other side on, but also what it doesn't. She did go, and it was played in the intro here, she did go talk about that she's willing to have a Republican serve in her cabinet. That's something that Democratic presidents of late have wanted to do. And Kamala Harris certainly had quite a few Republicans on the convention stage who might make interesting choices for a cabinet for her.